y'all, it's 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐞 with Real Things Living. Today, my guest is Holly Copeland. She is the founder of Heart Mind Alchemy. Can you say hello?
Hello, so happy to be here. Hi, everybody.
I appreciate you taking the time, and I love your background. Guys, she used to be a conservation scientist, and she's really here to protect the earth, but we're all part of this earth, right? And then she took a pivot, my understanding, 5 years ago. And that's something that she was kind of here. I want to hear more about that, why she pivoted to create this Heart Mind Alchemy.
Yeah, cool. I'm really excited to tell you. Is that where you'd like me to start?
Yeah, go ahead and start with that. What prompted you? What was that? What caused your frustration to
Yeah.
switch?
Yeah, well, a number of things, but one of them was just this sense of foreboding about the earth and the planet. And like I'd done this work day after day, and it felt like I was Groundhog Day. I kept waking up and it's like, it's like, here we are again, and everything's still messed up. And it felt like I could never get ahead. And I sort of did one of those looking forward at my life, realizing that I kind of always felt in my job as though, there's a brighter day ahead if I just keep working hard. And that caused me that sense of despair and environmental grief and hopelessness was really setting in. And I felt like I had to do something about that, about my own well-being, because I didn't feel like I can continue. It was like a sense of burnout. And I had to make a shift. And I I I had done some meditation. And so this collided with the spiritual path, where I'd been on a spiritual, kind of been a spiritual person my whole life, and reading the books and things, but that I wasn't able to actually make it actionable into feeling truly well and joyful each and every day. And so those two collided, and I went on a deep inner path journey to, get well, to, what I like come to fundamental well-being, unshakable well-being, that I could be happy even if the planet was falling apart. And that just sent me on a whole spiral.
Right.
Yeah.
You can only control so many things, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
kind of how.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it really turned to what I now call the path of inner rewilding. Like I went on a process to rewild. It's like I'd been trying to rewild the earth, to save the earth as a
Right.
conservationist. And actually, it's my own inner wilding that I needed to find and reclaim.
That's really cool. And it helped you find some more happiness while you're here, right?
Exactly, exactly. And what I discovered was that actually, if we can find the wholeness that we are here now, then we have much more energy to support and help the planet, that we care so much about. And so, what I like to say with my clients and people I work with, and when I speak, it's like we got to put on our own oxygen mask first. It's such a
Yeah,
simple analogy, but it's like we have to do that in order to be, to then have the oxygen to show up in the world the way that the world actually needs us to show up and is inviting us to show up, you
that's a good
know?
point. I like that. Yeah, you can't just try to do everything yourself. And I think, like you meant, I'm really for that, taking care of yourself first.
Exactly.
And being mindful will help you get through each moment, each day.
Yeah.
And yes, this so you did the Heart Mind Alchemy. So did you get certified in anything, or I'm just curious?
Yeah, yeah. And I just want to say also, I just as a PS to what I just described, I also had a big health crisis. So I got mold poisoning.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so I was dealing with a personal health crisis in addition to the work, mental crisis. And all of those things I said about when I recognized that I needed to find a new way forward. I did a lot of soul searching and asking for guidance and spirit. And I just said, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You show me. And I love those open, if you come to the universe and you just say, I don't know, you know, really deeply trusting. I mean, I come from a deep spiritual background. So I really believe that we are all fully supported at all times, actually, that there's much greater intelligence and wisdom that
Right.
is here. then our little minds know. And so I gave it over to the universe for support, and I got guided to like literally one day I was out on a run, and I heard a podcast, and this speaker was describing being a coach. And I just had this drop in, like, do that. You're supposed to do that. And so literally came back from the run and told my husband at the time, I think I know what I'm supposed to do now. And signed up for a coaching program 3 weeks later. So I got certified as a coach, and then that sent me down a path, and I went on to really dive into vibrational healing. And I use tuning forks now to heal with. I got certified as a biofield tuner with 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐿. I got certified in breath work as a breath work practitioner, and in meditation as a meditation teacher. So I now bring all of those tools to help people really remember who they are, that this being that's here listening is so much more than the conceptual mind that you think it is, that we are part of an interconnected, alive, awake universe. And you can turn that hardware, that's really the hardware, I guess, the body, you can turn that software on in your
Yes,
body
I
and
like that.
and connect to something much bigger. And then just, abundance and well-being can really start to flow from that space.
It as you were talking, it made me think of, like you said, the software. It's kind of like your nervous system, right?
Mhm.
It's at the right and what do you recommend to help rewire that, right?
Yeah.
I'm just
There are a number of tools, but the tools that I love and work with, one of them is breath work. It's
okay,
so profound. Oh my goodness. When we just go in and breathe, and I teach a kind of breath work that is like we breathe for an hour. So it's a deep lay on the bed, receive and breathe, but it creates incredible nervous system shifts in the body. People have huge releases and resets through simply breathing. It's amazing. It
right.
really is. So that's one of the nervous system tools that I really love and use to support people.
I think a lot of people are reason I asked that question. So many people are stressed out because they do too much, right? And then just life in general, you're always stress is normal, but the just you don't want it to be what's the word? Chronic
Mhm.
chronic stress. And I think the breathing, I totally am in line with that. I learned about breathing. So I'm not certified in it, but I learned about it to help me after I dealt with my health issues. And it helps
It helps.
tremendously. Calms you down and helps you like be in the moment. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And the breathing that I do for these big resets is an hour, but honestly, we could sit here right now. In fact, I'd love to just do 1 minute. Can I have 1 minute?
Oh, yes.
So 1 minute of just everybody, if you can, if you're not driving, but if you're driving, then just keep your eyes open. Otherwise, close your eyes.
Yeah.
Breathe into your belly, long, like about count of 6, and then breathe out to the count of 8. I'm going to go out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then do it again. And then out 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now this time switch to the heart. Breathe in for 6 in the heart. Now breathe out 8. I'm going to do 2 more. Breathe in for 6. Breathe out for 8. And this last one, bring in a feeling of well-being into your heart, like you're breathing in love. Breathe out for 8. And then just sit in the heart for a minute and just feel that feeling of well-being. And if it's not right there because things are kind of crappy, then bring to mind some memory of a time when you were, love, like hugging a pet or, a loved one. Just bring to mind right now some memory that, brings joy to you. And just feel that in your heart for a few last breaths. And when you're ready, open your eyes. They're closed. And just notice this shift. And one thing I'll say is that when we breathe out, when we elongate the out breath, we actually activate that parasympathetic, the rest system in the body.
Right.
Right. And so it can be as simple as just taking a minute. We took a minute.
Right. And it's just very calming. And when you said think of something that made you happy, it made me think of some dogs that
Yeah,
I
pets are
love
a
dogs, by the
good.
way. But that's something that, we all like different types of things, and animals are connected to nature. That's how I see
Mm-hmm.
it. And that's really cool. It's very calming, and right, it's so simple. You just small steps, just a minute.
Small steps.
Yes,
Exactly.
small steps. And I think that's why people feel not worthy, because they try to overdo it and try to do too much.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of that in the past, right? To be
Mm-hmm.
honest with you, we all are
I
guilty.
was too, absolutely. Believe me. And one of the things that really shifted for me was this, answering this question of I'll be happy when.
Yes,
We put we fall into the trap of believing this really catalyzed for me with the environmental grief. I'll be happy when, some other thing, some future day. And we put off that well-being when I just finish this, these things on my list. Right. And we don't realize that that's a never ending trap that we will never get out of. So
that's
we
a good.
actually, right, we have to claim our well-being here now. We actually have to we have to grab it by the tail and be like, come back, you know, can I feel? I love one of the teachers that I have that I learned from Locke Kelly has this beautiful saying, what's here now when there's no problem to solve? We let the sense of there being a problem keep us trapped in the future. But if we actually just look at what's here, if we say right now there's no problem to solve, and maybe your mind goes, yeah, but it's like actually just drop in for a minute, feel the space that's here, notice what's here,
Right.
right? I mean, there's this like energy and aliveness and well-being that's actually already here if we stop to see it.
And a lot of us take it for granted, right? Because
Mhm. We do. We overlook it, right?
correct, because we're always got so many things on our plate to do. And I think in general, I don't know from your experience, you think this has gotten worse? I shouldn't say worse, but more stress, or maybe because of, I think, of so much information out there, and I think people are too busy clicking. Looking away.
Right. Right. I do think that technology has created an added distraction
Yes. Yeah.
that is a huge challenge right now. And it can be a huge benefit. I mean, for example, like Insight Timer, I'm a meditation teacher on Insight Timer, is a free app that has amazing meditations and sound healings and all kinds of things right at your fingertips. That if you know where to find it, you can actually access, meditations and support that most people, would have never had access to.
Right.
So I also think it's about using technology very wisely
Right.
and choosing those things that are actually going to support you to be more to come into this centered place.
Yeah, this is, yeah, I got to be centered. And I just think like people complain a lot about change, but change is always there. I think this meditation you're describing can help you deal with change and help you focus, excuse me, on what you should do next. And
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one pointing to that is to remember, I mean, the Buddhists and the ancient teachings all remind us that change is constant. It's the nature of the universe.
yes,
Always
it's
changing.
always there.
It's always there. And actually, right, we're that doesn't, we're coming back to kind of remembering who we are, right? We're actually, one of the key things that happened to me in my journey of awakening and into well-being was to recognize that part of me that's constant, that doesn't change, right? So that presence, that aliveness, that is the Tibetans call the ground of being. I think once we find that unchanging ground of being, we can learn to be with the change in a totally different way.
Right. You are still Holly. Right.
Right.
And
Exactly. No matter what happens, life is flowing through me all the time.
Mhm.
But I mean, I even hesitate to say Holly because that's even a label itself, right?
Right, right,
Presence that you are, Bridget, or the presence that I am, the doesn't change and actually is always well. There's a piece we are whole, perfect, and complete as we are. So
right,
part of it is too recognizing that the essence of what we are is there's nothing to fix. We're already everything we seek. We are already whole. And if we can recognize that by seeing, oh, look, everything's changing. What about me isn't changing? Can I feel into that I don't need, there's nothing missing. I think part of it is that we feel like we're constantly not enough. There's never enough time. There's never enough money. There's never enough. And that's such a trap. So coming back to who I am and what I am is absolutely enough, you know?
right. You are enough and you don't have to be perfect. And
Already are perfect.
correct.
Right.
Some people I know that I've talked to, they're afraid to do certain things like write and put it out there publicly. They fear that it's not perfect. And I said, it doesn't matter. You just
Right.
have to do it. And it does take some courage to
Yeah.
do that. But I think what you're sharing and helping people, it also provides some courage every day.
Yeah.
That's my instinct that as you're talking, I'm like, it helps make you stronger, gives you some courage. Also,
Right.
I'm a believer because of the health issues I've had is focus on what's important to you, right?
Mhm. Exactly. Focus on what you love. That's one of my principles is align
Yes.
with what you love
Yes.
and go with trust that. That's like so key to trust that what you love is guiding, that is spirit, that's that bigger you that's speaking through you. And
I,
to learn, I think we're on a journey to learn more and more how to trust that.
yes, we need to do that. And people have used to blow that off or like, that's not important. And I've always believed in trusting my instinct.
Mm-hmm.
And you still have to pause and not react, right? And think and the meditation will help you make
Yeah.
sure you found out what you love, but then you have to figure out what the next step is. And
Right. Yeah. And that's a process of listening, right? The next
yes,
step actually will present itself if you listen deeply and say, show me what the next step is.
yes, listen. And
Mhm.
I love this conversation because wish we'd talked 10 years ago. Just kidding. But but I learned all that when I had all these health issues, I knew I had to integrate this, or just my instinct said, integrate this into your life. And it's just so important. And I also integrated, the nutrition aspect too,
Mhm.
because there's just so many, you are what you eat too, right? I'm sure you've heard that.
Yeah, food is thy medicine. Let food be thy medicine, Hippocrates, right?
Yes,
Absolutely.
that's what really helped me heal. I
Me too.
mean, part of it, I mean, I think a lot of in life is, like I mentioned previously, it is stressful, but I learned, and my 50s have been fantastic because I have been doing more of this, um, being mindful, being in the moment, and doing what I love, or
Yeah.
following that path.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Amen to that. 100%. Like following what you love and then, feeding and nourishing the body. It's so important with, whole, for me, it's whole organic foods, whole organic
Yes,
vegetables and grains that are thoughtfully, ideally, thoughtfully produced, as much as possible on sustainable farms. That those kinds of things, because everything carries a vibration. And so, food does too. And how the food was harvested and cultivated brings that vibration into your body. So,
sure.
you choose fast, machine produced foods, they're you're kind of setting you're giving that vibration into your
Your
body.
body, right? To
Mhm.
your mind and your
Right.
body, not just, yeah, it's there. I think it's okay sometimes to eat junk food. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
sometimes do it all the time. I mean,
Right.
and that
Right.
will make you sick. It's okay to enjoy. Like I married a guy. I'm just going off tangent here. I married a guy from Wisconsin. Ate a lot of There's a dairy, county, not county, the state, and I have a sensitivity to dairy, which I did not know about,
Yeah.
and it accelerated because I started actually eating it more, even though when I was younger, my brain and body are saying, don't do that.
Yeah.
Right. And
I
so
know
now
dairy's a tough one. I know, but I agree with you. I really avoid
it's
dairy.
addicted. It's
Yeah.
addicting. But
It
I don't
is. It is,
eat anymore.
it's a
I,
lot of
I I stopped like over 10 years ago. People think I'm weird, but hey, I feel better. So there. Um,
Yes. I one of the sayings I say with my clients is no food tastes as good as feeling good feels.
yes, I feel good when I don't have it,
Yeah.
and feel better, excuse me.
Yeah.
So you're very inspirational, and I'm so glad we connected. So where can people learn more about you?
Well, thank you. I'm just so appreciate this conversation and
Mm.
talking to you. People can find me at heartmindalchemy.com. That's my website and all my offerings, my one-on-one coaching program, my I have a twice monthly group that I meet with called Heart Mind Circle, and I do individual biofield tuning sessions as well with tuning forks, and all that's at my website.
That's very cool. You're out there, you figured out what to do next in life. And
Yeah.
for those that are listening, I'll have the link included in the description. And thank you so much, Holly. And for the listeners, please make sure you spend at least 1 minute a day doing the breathing exercise and doing some mindfulness.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And if you go to Insight Timer, you can find the link on my website. I have a
Okay.
number of meditations there on Insight Timer, and it's a free app and it's awesome. So you can check that out too.
And it's a great way to calm down from all this noise we got going on in the world.
100%. And you said it like right at the beginning of our conversation. It's about self-care first. I mean, if I have to
Yes.
leave people with someone that's like, it's about putting on your own oxygen mask first. I don't generally do anything before 10 a.m. Like I give all of my self-care. I'm blessed to be able to do that, but I give the morning to self-care and then I take
Love
care of
it.
other people.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's so important. And you'll appreciate every day when you do that self care.
Totally. 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you again.